Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Today, I basically just want to bring out, some exhortation, dealing with basically, maintaining faith when it comes to our family, right? Because in the times that we're coming in, we might be separated from family, separated from our loved ones, but we still have to maintain the faith that, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, will look out for them in our favor, right? We have to hope and believe that, the Lord would have mercy on them for us doing our part, for our sakes. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 30, and basically what was happened during this portion, right? As David and his men were gone away from their city, you had Edomites come and raid their city and basically, take captive their women, their children, and just straight up spoil them. And as we see, the people basically just started, weeping and feeling sorry, so on and so forth, so much to the point that they were even willing to stone David, right? But as we're going to read, David, he maintained faith, maintained faith that the Lord would protect, their loved ones while they were in the hand of danger, while they were in the hand of the enemy. This is 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 1. And to read David's victory over the Amalekites. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites, which was the head tribe of Esau, had invaded the south and Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire, right? Because David and his men were away with the Philistines, basically about to go to war with Israel until they were, turned away, because the Philistines men didn't trust to fight against Israel amongst Israel. They feared that, they had mistrust in David, and his men, rightfully so. But as they were away, the Amalekites basically raided their village or raided their cities. And Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire. And had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives, right? And goes to show you that this was all, the doing of the Lord. How many times have you known Amalek to raid a nation or raid a place and not slay anyone, right? Then David and his people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. So they lamented so much to the point where they couldn't anymore. And we see that how sometimes you could cry so much no tears come out, or you can wail so much to where you start losing your voice, so on and so forth. I'm gonna get this in the NLT. They wept until they could weep no more. Yeah, they all pretty much say the same thing. All right, verse 5. And David's two wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife, Salakiah, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, right? Because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, his God. So it goes to show you just how much, grief that the people felt, that they were even willing to stone David, their head, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Abishai, his God, right? And that's what we're to do, today. When things really hit the fan, you're separated from your family. You might have your family, your loved ones who are taken off to a camp, right? And you're taken off somewhere else. But, in your mind, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. We have to be stable in knowing that the Lord is going to watch over them. Have faith that the Lord is going to watch over them for our sakes, that the Lord will see fit to have mercy on them because we're doing what we need to, which is another, driving force for you to be doing what you're supposed to be doing for the Lord. Verse 6, and David was greatly distressed. Verse 7, Slakia. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought hither the ephod to David, in which the ephod was like basically like a garment. And upon that garment, you had the breastplate that held the Urim and the Thummim, right, which was a means for basically them to consult with the Heavenly Father. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David, and David inquired at the Lord Yahweh, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So you see how David, basically, sought the Lord in a time of, basically distress, and that's again how we have to move in these times. Move with wisdom. Move with the wisdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Abishai. And that's why it's another thing to not to have temperance, right? You can't be rash. You can't be, too quick to act on certain things, because some decisions can literally be life or death. So we have to rely on the Spirit, man. And that's exactly what David is doing here, asking the Lord, should I chase after them, or should I just fall back? If he chased after them without consulting the Lord first, they might have lost that battle. Verse 9, so David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. Right, so you had some, I believe it was about 200 who stayed back and 400 who went. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. Right, so they just stayed back and watched over their things. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water, and they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. So this Egyptian that they came across was pretty much on the verge of death before they found him and fed him, and so on and so forth. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. Right, so here it is. They just so happened to stumble across an Egyptian that was, pretty much part of the Amalekite camp that, raided their city. Right, shows you how the Lord, places miracles or has certain things play out for the sake of his chosen. Verse 14, Slakia, verse 15, and David said to him, canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, swear unto me by the Most High that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master. and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. So the Egyptian, basically gave them the intel. They pulled up on them, and this is what they see. A bunch of Edomites making merry. And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day, and there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives, and there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all. Right? So it shows you how the Lord, throughout that whole time protected not only David's family, but the families, the children and the women of all of his men as well. And David had faith in the Lord, man. Going all the way back up here. David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. So let's get this in the NLT. David was now in great danger, because all his men were very bitter and about losing their sons and daughters, and they began to talk of stoning him. But David found strength in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai his God. Now, if David would have, just wept like the others did, gave up, cursed out the Most High, so on and so forth, you think the Lord would have kept, all his things, his family, untouched? Nah, man. But it was the faith that David put in the Lord that allowed the Lord to work this miracle. And that's the same thing that, we're going to have to go through now. The things that we're going to deal with Esau coming up against us, right? The great insurrection upon them that fear the Lord, is to put us in these compromised positions so that the Lord has a chance to work. The Lord has a chance to show his power, upon delivering us from these, so-called impossible, places we find ourselves in. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil, nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all, man. And David took all the flocks and the herds, which they drave before those other cattle, and said, this is David's spoil. So that basically being the point. Through faith, and David basically sticking with the Spirit of the Lord, not turning against the Lord, even though the Lord just had this happen. The Lord saw fit to preserve, his family, to preserve the families of his men, so on and so forth. So just like that, in times of trouble, right, we're to continuously serve the Lord, man, and not worry about, what happens to them or what happens to this person, that person, that person. We just have to maintain the faith and not doubt. Right? That's really the point, man. To not doubt the power of the Lord. Because that's really what fearing in, certain things really is. It's doubting the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. The Lord is in control of everything. You think that he can't deliver your family from a group of, people who mean to do them harm, whatever the case be. In any case, any what's the word? Capacity, right? The Lord can deliver, man. And that's what he's coming to show in this second coming through his son. His power, man. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 6. Hebrews 11, Salakia. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. And it reads, "But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is." Right? That is a thing that has to be there. You have to have that faith on the Lord. You must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Right? Diligently seek him, meaning this is repeated. It's a 24/7 always at it thing. Look into this word diligently. Seek, to seek out, to search for. Or in the Greek it says exateo.
Strong's G 1567. Exateo. Exateo.
Exateo, to seek out, search for, to seek out, investigate, scrutinize, to seek out for oneself, beg, crave, to demand back, require, seek carefully, inquire, seek after, diligently, to search out, investigate, crave, demand, worship, seek after, carefully, diligently. So yeah, right. And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So we have to continuously serve the Lord, without end. And like we said before, in doing so, in us doing what we're supposed to do, the Lord can for our sakes show mercy on our loved ones. So worrying about what can happen to them, so on and so forth, shouldn't deter you, right? Them being split up from you, among other things, should not deter you, man. Still supposed to have the faith, still supposed to, not doubt. It's Hebrews 11, verse 7. By faith, Noah, being warned of the Most High of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. By thee which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Right? So Noah, moving with fear from what the Lord told him, and moving with faith in what the Lord told him would happen, he prepared an ark to the saving of his house, man. And that's likened unto the elect, serving the Lord, spiritually preparing that ark to the saving of our houses as well. No matter if, things may not look like it's going to turn out that way. And even if it does, right? We know, we have belief that we'll, see our families, see them again in the kingdom of heaven if they do happen to, perish on this side. But we still maintain the faith, David, Noah's family, right? If I'm not mistaken, they didn't help him build that ark. Yet they were still, able to get on that ark. Scriptures say, seek out your own, roughly paraphrasing, seek out our own salvation with fear and trembling. But through you doing that, you can also seek out salvation for your family as well, man. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 21. And it reads, Matthew chapter 21, verse 21. Yahushua answered and said unto them, as we start at the 20th verse. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, how soon is the fig tree withered away? Yahushua answered and said unto them, verily I say unto you, if ye have faith, and doubt not. Ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Right? So the Lord puts an emphasis on belief and an emphasis on not doubting, man. The faith that we hold in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has to be unwavering. Because it's then and only then can the Lord really, show, his power. And that's why the Lord constantly puts us through struggles, constantly puts us through, sufferings in order to build up that faith, to be that perfect, vessel for him to show his mercy. This is the book of Matthew chapter 14 verse 22, right? Dealing with Peter and how, he was able to walk on water through faith in Yahushai. Subtitle reads, Yahushai walks on the water. It's Matthew chapter 14 verse 22. And straightway Yahushai constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. Right? And likening unto the ship being tossed basically in this roaring sea is what? The Lord's elect being in the midst of, persecution. That roaring sea, right? Esau coming up against us, man. Tribulation, trial. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushai went unto them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit, and they cried out for fear. But straightway Yahushai spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I. Be not afraid. Right? And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahushai. Right? So Peter, if Peter didn't have faith, he instantly, as soon as he stepped in the water, he would have fell right through. But through faith, in the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, him too was able to walk on the water. But as we read, right? But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. Right? So when the wind picked up, that's when he started to doubt. And that's when he started to sink, because his faith was dwindling. Right? And dealing with this specific thing. He was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. Right? In which, in our times of trouble, right, heavy persecution upon Israel, how it says Peter cried out, Lord, save me. Only the servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will have that luxury, man, of being, afraid or being in a troubling position and being able to call on the Lord, and him actually hearing and returning that call, man, returning that prayer. And immediately, right? So Yahushai ain't wasting no time, man. And immediately Yahushai stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? Right? So even though, Peter doubted just for a little, what? Yahushai immediately came to his safety, man. Immediately came to his help. And that's exactly how the Lord's going to be when it comes to, protecting, watching over and performing these miracles for his elect in that time. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, man. When you see certain miracles and stuff play out for certain people, that's the Lord's letting you know, nah, this one is mine. But it's through faith. We have to have faith and belief on that, man. And immediately Yahweh stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? Right, and this makes me think of the scripture here. So Isaiah 41:10. And it reads, we can start here at verse 8. Isaiah chapter 41 verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Right? It says Jacob, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Not all of Abraham's seed was chosen. From Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. It stopped there, man. Thou, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant, I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away. Fear thou not, right? In which this really starts with the elect of the nation of Israel on this side. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Right? And we know that right hand of the Most High is who? Yahweh Shai. So just as it says, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness, what did we just read? You know, Yahweh Shai did for Peter. And immediately Yahweh Shai stretched forth his hand and caught him, man. And that's how it's going to be for the Lord's elect. The Lord is going to be there to catch them. Be there for that deliverance, right? That saving, you know. Going into his name, Yahweh Shai, he delivers. He is the deliverer. But that's all by faith, man. How can we expect the Lord to perform this miracle, to do this for us, if we don't even believe it's possible? If we don't even believe that he is capable, and if we don't even believe that he will do it? Why would he want to if we don't even believe, right? Verse 32. And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. You know, so that's basically the point. You know, is to not doubt the Lord. Especially now, coming into the times that we're coming into, man. Whether it's with family, whether it's even with yourself. You know, no matter what, we have faith on the Lord. If the Lord, you know, sees fit for us to die, then so be it. We still have faith in the Lord. We know that we'll be raised back up. Right? We know that our loved ones will be raised back up. At the end of the day, we still have faith and serve Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. What else can we do? Right? Ain't nothing else we can do. So with that being said, once more, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect.